Hey everybody, as we're starting on our first CCNA videos of a series, just want to let you know, please like and subscribe if you want to follow us in the CCNA journey here. Keep in mind, if you go to nTRaaS.com, if you want to become a Patreon member, we have Discord benefits. Now I'm just starting this out. I'm trying to create a Discord and YouTube community. That way we can all talk and benefit from understanding each other. I also have a couple of different channels on there for CCNA and various certifications getting moved forward. Hopefully you'll come join us and check us out. Hey, welcome back to nTRaaS. We're going to start our first video series right now of the CCNA 200-301. We're going to be looking at all of the various topics within the CCNA guidelines. Hopefully what we talk about will be of interest to a lot of you, and you can move forward with our CCNA series, look at it, tell us what we may need to look at, what we may be able to do better, and of course, join us with any follow-up like CCNP levels. So as we get started right here, let's start out with the CCNA 200-301. This is your first step to being a network engineer. It's a very long road, but a fun and lucrative one if you are dedicated. Keep in mind, like anything else in the IT world, it is broad. There are a lot of things you can do in IT, and networking is just one little piece of them. I'm, of course, starting here with network engineering, CCNA level. Now, keep in mind, there's also Linux, there's Microsoft Windows, there's routing and switching, there's security, there's data center, there's ISP and service providers, there's collaborations with phones and video. I mean, it's pretty endless what you can do in IT. So hopefully as a start here, we can start out with networking concepts, and if you like it, maybe you can move on with a networking career or wait until we get into some more Microsoft or virtualization. So from there, let's move on and see how we like it. So an introduction. We have a couple of locations here that are going to allow us to see, well, what is required to pass the CCNA exam. Now I have nTRaaS, so if you go to nTRaaS.com and go into our CCNA page on the CCNA Splash, which we'll see here in a few minutes, it'll give you a good understanding of all of the topics for the CCNA level exam. I also have the exam topics from Cisco.com here, so if you want to go directly to Cisco to see this information, you'll notice that it is the same. Keep in mind that on the nTRaaS.com website, we are actually using that to put information in with those topics. So if you expand domain 1, it'll list out everything you need to understand for that domain, but within there, you'll click it and be able to expand on the information. Of course, a little bit more than what we're doing here, but you'll also be able to read what's on the screen as well. We're trying to take kind of a multiple approach here where people can watch and listen to the PowerPoint, but can also go back into and read about all the exam topics, kind of like a segmented book for everything. So if there's anything you might have issue with, you can always go back and rewatch any one of the videos in the course, or you can go to nTRaaS.com and read about it. Currently we're not really 100% with CCNA, so we're going to kind of work as we go, and hopefully we can get some help along the way, and hopefully you'll learn and we can move on. So we will do that and talk about what is this. So the CCNA certification is kind of the start to Cisco certifications. I believe there's also a foundation level, but I like starting with CCNA because it kind of dives into everything you need to learn and understand to become a network engineer. I may end up doing a foundation video as well, but for now, we'll just start with this and kind of get a head start. Now, if you wish to get into the IT field, you really have to learn what you want to do. So we just did a home lab video that talks about Cisco networking, which is switching. So if you can understand how the switching functions, that allows us to get into the Microsoft Windows and the domain controller, the virtualization with VMware, and even into storage and what have you. Because when dealing with Cisco, you have to worry about a lot of things. We're pushing packets and frames and bits, but there's a lot more to it than that. because we have to provide that communication to a lot of different servers, phones, video endpoints, users, what have you. So hopefully this will be the right place for you to get started on our CCNA series. But keep in mind that networking is huge in concept. It's not just routing and switching anymore. 20 years ago when I got started, we had basic routers and switches. We had the Cisco PICs that really didn't do a lot of the same stuff like the next gen stuff that we have today. Now you're going to see here that I talk about Palo Alto, Juniper, Extreme, Avaya, HP, and Dell, and there's a bunch more as well. The reason I mention that is because at one of my last jobs, well, we wanted to implement an Avaya phone system. For some reason we didn't go with Cisco. I don't know why, we just didn't. But for Avaya to help us understand and install their system, we had to replace all of our Cisco switches with Avaya switches. So keep in mind, just because you know and understand one technology or vendor, you might have to try to learn and understand multiple vendors in any capacity. One other example is at another job we have Palo Alto's as our external edge. So even though I've been CCNP security for the last, 10 years or so, I still had to go through and learn Palo Alto because, well, that's what they used. They were kind of ahead of the game, especially with Cisco on the next gen stuff, until not too long ago when Cisco started their Firepower platform. So once again, it's best to really keep an open mind and look at a lot of different IT functions and vendors, because you never know what that company's going to have. So what you'll learn here in the CCNA, of course, if you check out nTRaaS or Cisco exam topics, as we talked about previously, you'll get a good understanding of what you need to learn and why you need to learn it. Now in this case, we're going to talk about the many different levels within the Cisco realm. We have the CCNA, the CCNP, and the CCIE. And the CCNA, of course, is a single exam which encompasses associate level stuff. The CCNP, on the other hand, gets us into some other things, such as advanced routing and switching, SD-WAN and wireless, collaboration, data center, etc. So the CCNP has a core exam that kind of introduces you to all of those specializations. And then after that, you can choose which one you either need to, want to, or to continue to specialize in. As an example, right now, I'm working on my CCNA data center. So I passed the core exam. I'm going to take the designing a data center exam. However, I'm going to be looking at installing ACI at my work. So what I can do is I can get my CCNP, and then I can use the ACI exam to get the specialist certification on top of the CCNP itself. So keep in mind there's going to be a lot of different things that you can get your hands on within the networking world. It's not just routing and switching anymore. Route, switch, firewall, storage, data center, you name it. So there's a lot of things that we have to work on. Keep in mind, hopefully at some point we'll also be able to talk about ICE, or the Identity Services Engine, which is kind of the next gen to software-defined networking. It's a huge package in and of itself, along with DNA Center as well. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to talk about that. Probably be in our CCNP series, depending on the traction I get with this. If I start getting people interested and I start, am able to bring in new technologies and get some more things installed over there, and we'll move forward. Like anything though, learning information is kind of the point. You can't rush anything. Now the thing about networking is, and you probably got that from what I just said, there is a lot to it. Now I started off with my MCSE back in, 2005, I believe it was. And it took me a little less than a year to pass 8 exams. That's how much the MCSE was back then. And you can imagine 8 exams, they were smaller books. But today you have a CCNP core exam and a specialist exam. So you're going to have to learn and understand a lot of information today compared to what it was 20 years ago. Sad to say, but that's just kind of what we're moving toward. And considering Cisco now has the CPEs, well, a lot of the times you don't even need to get new certifications. You just have to either learn or buy and pretend to learn and get recertified. So keep that in mind. When we're talking about tracks in CCNA, though, here they are. Enterprise data center, security, service provider, collaboration, and we will touch on all of these, especially in future CCNP videos, specializations, and boot camp. So let's get into the exam topics for CCNA. We're not going to go in depth on this, but as you can see here on the screen, this is kind of a cutout from nTRaaS.com. We have all of our 6 domains or topics for the CCNA. We have network fundamentals, network access, IP connectivity, IP services, security fundamentals, and of course, automation and programmability. If you look on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a certain percentage that the exam takes from. So if you're good at network fundamentals and you're good at network access, if you're not really good on the IP connectivity part, keep in mind that that's 25% of your exam. So you might really want to focus on the higher percentages. Now, that's not me putting down IP services, security fundamentals, or even automation. Just keep in mind that those 3 topics account for 65% of the grade. Now, since we're here, you're going to notice that each of the topics have kind of a drop-down menu. And as I mentioned before, this is where you're going to be able to go in, get the exact subtopics of each topic. You're going to be able to click on that, and you're going to be able to view kind of like a book or a training scenario, however we intend to do that. And you'll be able to read, see, and even see a video on any particular subtopic. So keep a lookout for that. We're continuing to work on the CCNA topics on our website, and of course starting with the CCNA series today. So hopefully this will work out for a lot of us, and if there's anything you'd like to see on top of the certification tracks, just let us know. We'll create custom videos as long as it's not too advanced, and we of course have the hardware and software available to us. So for now, that's kind of it, and we'll see you in the first one when we start on network fundamentals. See you in the next one.